Hello everyone, myself Dr. Archana Patel and today's our learning topics are atherosclerosis, ischemia, infarction and aneurysm. So what is atherosclerosis? So atherosclerosis is basically a intimal disorder of the blood vessels, and before learning about the atherosclerosis we need to know about the normal vascular wall structures. So basically normal vessel wall is made up of three layers. The innermost layer is intima, which is made up of endothelial cell layer, and it is divided with internal elastic lamina with media. So tunica media is made up of mainly smooth muscle cells, and outer to this there is an external elastic lamina which divides media and adventitia. Adventitia is made up of loose connective tissue, and it also contains the blood vessels and some smooth muscle cells. So here is the circular structure, that is arterial, and convoluted structure which is a vein. What is arteriosclerosis? Literal meaning of arteriosclerosis is hardening of the arteries. In the arteriosclerosis, there is thickening and loss of elasticity of arterial walls. Three patterns are mainly seen. One is the commonest, that is atherosclerosis. Second one is the Mokeberg medial calcific sclerosis, which involves the tunica media and little bit less common, and arteriolosclerosis, that is involving only the arterioles, and there is sclerosis of the arterial structures. So atherosclerosis is characterized by intimal lesions called atheromas or atheromatous or fibromatous plaques, and which leads to the obstruction of the vascular lumens and weakening of the underlying media. Pathogenesis of the atherosclerosis is mainly dependent on the response to the injury hypothesis. There is chronic inflammatory response of the arterial wall initiated by injury to the endothelium, and the intimal lesion progression is sustained by interaction between modified lipoproteins, monocyte derived macrophages, T lymphocytes, and the normal cellular constituents of the arterial walls. So the response to the injury hypothesis is basically starts with the endothelial injury or dysfunction. So whenever there is a hyperlipidemia, hypertension, smoking, toxins, hemodynamic factors, immune reactions or virus are responsible, there will be formation of injury to the endothelial cell layer, and this leads to the monocyte addition, immigration into the intima. So there is a increase permeability, there is leukocyte addition, monocyte addition, and immigration into the intima. Also these macrophages engulf the oxidized LDL, and they become the foamy macrophages or foam cells, and these foamy macrophages plays a pivotal role in engulfment of the necrotic debris, which is product of the tissue injury. Also there is a smooth muscle cell migration into the intimal injury site, and after migration smooth muscle cell also proliferates. So all these phenomena, proliferation of the smooth muscle cell, aggregation of the cholesterol deposition, presence of the foamy cell, this will lead to the formation of atheromatous plaque, and the condition is known as atherosclerosis. American Heart Association has given a classification to differentiate and grading the severity of the various atherosclerotic lesions. So initial lesions are the type 1 and type 2. Type 2 includes the fatty streak lesion that will include mainly intracellular lipid accumulation. Whenever there is an extracellular lipid pool formation, the intermediate and atheroma lesion, that is type 3 and 4, are developed. And after that, if there is a further progression to the fibrosis and fibrotic layer formation, there occurs the fibroatheroma lesion, that is type 5, And once this fibroatroma lesion become defective, whenever there is surface defect or there is a hematoma or hemorrhage formation or thrombus formation, these lesions are known as type 6 lesion, that is complicated atromatous lesions. So whenever there is a tissue injury, there is a fatty streak formation after the development of atherosclerotic lesion. So this fatty streak, whenever the tissue injury remains there, it can progress to the fibrofatty plaque, and whenever it further progress, there can be formation of advanced vulnerable plaque, and this advanced vulnerable plaque have three outcomes. Whenever there is mural thrombosis, embolization and vessel wall weakening, there is aneurysm and rupture formation. Whenever there is a plaque rupture, plaque erosion and plaque hemorrhage, there can be a formation of thrombosis, that is mural thrombosis, and it can also embolize. So there is a occlusion by thrombosis, and third one is the either it can simply or silently progress to the plaque growth, and this leads to the critical stenosis, that is up to 95 to 99% of the lumen is obstructed, and this leads to the obstruction to the blood supply to the end organ. So here is the gross view of atherosclerosis in the aorta. There is a mild atherosclerosis composed of fibrous plaques, and whenever this severe disease, these are the severe diffuse and complicated lesions of atherosclerosis. Here is the whole atherosclerotic plaque, and the core is composed of lipid accumulation and fibrosis, and there is a narrowing of the lumen. This one is the uninvolved vessel wall, that is normal wall. Here again we can see the atherosclerotic lesion made up of fat deposition, macrophages, foamy cells, and there is a intimal lesion, mild atherosclerosis and severe atherosclerotic plaque occluding the almost complete lumen. Now morphology. The key process in the atherosclerosis are the intimal thickening and lipid accumulation. An atheroma or atheromatous plaque consists of a raised focal lesion initiating within the intima, having a soft yellow grumous core of lipid, which is mainly consisting of cholesterol and cholesterol esters, and it is covered by the firm white fibrous cap. The principal components of the atherosclerotic plaques includes the cells, which are mainly smooth muscle cells, macrophages and other leukocytes, extracellular material like collagen, elastic fibers and proteoglycans, and intracellular as well as extracellular lipids. These components occur in varying proportions and configurations in the different atherosclerotic lesions. So here is a diagrammatic picture, and we can see the fibrous cap and central necrotic core. Fibrous cap is mainly made up of smooth muscle cells, macrophages, foamy cells, lymphocytes, collagen, elastin, proteoglycans, and neovascularization. And the necrotic core is made up of cell debris, cholesterol crystals, foamy cells, and calcium deposition. Here is the mesenteric strain, where we can see the collagen, which is stained with blue. Here is the fibrous cap and lipid core, and we can see the lumen. There is a narrowing of the lumen, and this is the uninvolved vessel wall, that is a normal vessel wall. So whole this one is the atherosclerotic plaque. Higher magnification photomicrograph at the junction of the fibrous cap and core, we can see the scattered inflammatory cells as well as the calcification. These are the calcification we can see, and neovascularization. The distribution of the atherosclerotic plaques in vessel. The abdominal aorta is usually much more involved than the thoracic aorta, and the lesions tend to be much more prominent around the origins, that is the ostia of the major branches, like coronary arteries, popliteal arteries, internal carotid arteries, and vessel of the circle of Willis in the brain. The main consequences, as we have already discussed, like either that can be a focal rupture, ulceration, or erosion of the luminal surface of the atheromatous plaque. There can be a hemorrhage into a plaque. There can be a superimposed thrombosis. The most feared complication usually occurs under disrupted lesions and aneurysmal dilatation. Now, ischemia in infarction. Ischemia is the reduced blood supply, and infarction is the end result of this ischemic lesion, that is a cell death. So the three major epicardial coronary arteries are left anterior descending, the left circumflex, and right coronary arteries. Here we can see the left coronary artery, which is further divided into the left anterior descending artery, which supplies blood to the front and bottom of the left ventricle and the front of the interventricular septum. The circumflex artery, which goes behind and supplies blood to the left atrium and the side and back of the left ventricle. Right coronary artery supplies blood to the right atrium, right ventricle, bottom portion of the left ventricle, and back of the interventricular septum. So, ischemic heart disease. The clinical manifestation of ischemic heart disease can be divided into 4 syndromes. One is the myocardial infarction, the commonest thing, the most important form of ischemic heart disease, in which the duration and severity of ischemia is sufficient to cause death of the heart muscle. Angina pectoris, in which the ischemia is less severe and does not cause death of the cardiac muscle. 3 variants of angina are classified: stable angina, preincidental angina, and unstable angina. The later one is the most threatening as a frequent harbinger of the myocardial infarction. And third one is the chronic ischemic heart disease with heart failure, and fourth is the sudden cardiac death. The acute MI, acute myocardial infarction, unstable angina, and sudden cardiac death are referred as acute coronary syndromes. Pathogenesis is mainly based on diminished coronary perfusion relative to the myocardial demand, and there is complex and dynamic interaction among the fixed atherosclerotic narrowing of the epicardial coronary arteries, intraluminal thrombosis overlying a disrupted atherosclerotic plaque. There can be a platelet aggregation, and there can be a vasospasm. A normal artery we can see, and because after the atherosclerosis there is atherosclerotic plaque development, and we can see the narrowing of the vessel lumen, and which this narrowing of the lumen leads to the obstruction to the blood supply. So whenever it remains fixed, there is a fixed coronary obstruction, and it gives symptomatic typical angina. The typical angina can have a 2 outcome. After this platelet aggregation, there can be a platelet plaque disruption, and there can be a formation of thrombus, which lead to the either mural thrombus with variable obstruction, or it can get detached and can form a emboli, or it can form a occlusive thrombosis, that is acute transmural myocardial infarction, or leads to the sudden death. So these two things will lead to the acute coronary syndrome. After, if there is no thrombus formation, the plaque disruption get healed, and this leads to the severe fixed coronary obstruction or chronic ischemic heart disease. So angina pectoris is characterized by paroxysmal substernal pain. The duration and severity of ischemia are not sufficient to cause infarction. Chest discomfort, variously described as constricting, squeezing, choking, or knife-like pain caused by transient, that is ranging from 15 seconds to 15 minutes of myocardial ischemia. The 3 overlapping patterns of angina are there. One is the stable or typical angina. The symptoms occur with same level of exertion and go away with the rest, typically seen when 75% or greater chronic stable stenosis is present in coronary artery. Prinzmetal or variant angina, that is episodic angina that occurs at rest and is due to the coronary artery spasm. And third one is the unstable or crescendo angina. There is disruption of an atherosclerotic plaque with superimposed partial mural thrombosis and possibly embolization or vasospasm. Now, myocardial infarction. In common term, it is known as heart attack. The death of cardiac muscle resulting from the ischemia is known as myocardial infarction. The sequential pathological changes in myocardial infarction are divided into two things. One are the gross changes, and second one is the light microscopic changes. So in first week, initially in the 6 hour, there is no gross change, and on light microscopy also there is no change, only the stretching and waviness of fibers we can see. After 6 to 12 hours of myocardial infarction, no gross changes will be appreciated, and on light microscopy there is a formation of coagulative necrosis and neutrophilic infiltration begins. There is also edema and hemorrhages are present. At 24 hours of injury, there will be appearance of cyanotic red purple area of hemorrhage, and in light microscopy coagulative necrosis become progressive and there is marginal neutrophilic infiltration. At 48 to 72 hours, there is a yellow tan infarct in the center, and in microscopy we can see the very well developed neutrophilic infiltration, and coagulative necrosis also get completed. In about 3 to 7 days of duration, there will be hyperemic border and center becomes yellow and soft. The neutrophil gets necrosed and they start disappearing, and there is a beginning of the resorption of the necrosed fibers by macrophages, and there is a onset of fibrovascular response. In the second week, that is on the 10th day, there will be a red purple periphery, and on microscopy necrosed muscles in the small infarct are being removed, and there is a fibrovascular reaction. Pigmented macrophages are also present, and also there is a presence of eosinophil lymphocytes and plasma cell. On 14th day, the gross changes remain same, and in microscopy we can see the necrosed muscle mostly removed, neutrophils disappear, and fibrocollagenic tissue at the periphery starts appearing. And third week, the necrosed muscle fibers from larger infarcts removed, and there is a more ingrowth of fibrocollagenous tissue. And at about 4 to 10 weeks, there is a grossly we can see the thin gray white hard shrunken fibrous scar, and there is an increased fibrocollagenous tissue, decreased vascularity, fewer pigmented macrophages, lymphocytes and plasma cells. Acute myocardial infarction demonstrated histochemically by lack of staining by the triphenyl tetrazolam chloride, and staining defect usually seen due to the enzyme leakage that follows the cell death. The frequencies of critical narrowing and thrombosis of arteries and corresponding sites of myocardial lesions are left anterior descending coronary artery are most commonly involved, that is about in 40% to 50% of cases, and whenever these arteries are blocked, there will be a formation of lesions at anterior wall of left ventricular near apex, anterior portion of ventricular septum, apex circumferentially. Right coronary artery blockage are responsible for 30 to 40% of cases, and the lesions will be developed at the inferior or posterior wall of left ventricle, posterior portion of ventricular septum, inferior or posterior right ventricular free wall in some cases, and in left circumflex coronary artery there will be 15 to 20% of lateral wall of left ventricle except at the apex. Consequences and complications of myocardial infarctions are either there can be a contractile dysfunction, arrhythmias, myocardial rupture, pericarditis, right ventricular infarction, infarct extension, mural thrombus, ventricular aneurysm, papillary muscle dysfunction, and there can be a progressive late heart failure. Aneurysm. So aneurysm are divided into either true or false aneurysm or dissecting or non-dissecting aneurysm, and the causes are mainly atherosclerotic, that is the commonest cause, and non-atherosclerotic causes includes the congenital causes, lytic, that is syphilitic aneurysm, traumatic aneurysm, mycotic, and secondary to vasculitis, and another one is secular or benign aneurysm versus the fusiform. Aneurysm have, as we have already discussed, the atherosclerosis are the commonest cause, normal elastic fibers, and in the atherosclerotic or aneurysmic vessel wall there is a disrupted or fragmented elastic fibers, you can see, and most abdominal aortic aneurysm occurs between the renal arteries and bifurcation of the aorta. The sequelae of the aneurysm includes the rupture of the vessel wall, obstruction of the blood flow, embolism, compression of the ureter and spine, and there can be a mass effect. Whenever there is thoracic aneurysm, it can lead to the encroachment, respiratory difficulties, hoarseness, dysphagia, cough, pain, aortic valve dilatation, and rupture. And lytic or syphilitic aneurysm are chiefly involving the thoracic aorta. It follows an aortitis, and lymphoplasmacytic infiltration, that is plasma cells, are the predominant component. So, thank you.